Hello and welcome to the third episode in my series looking at permaculture design principles. Today we're going to have a think about catching and storing energy, and this is our icon for today. It is a bottle full of sunshine. So in natural systems, fundamentally all of the energy that comes into that is at source driven by the energy of the sun. So that's why this icon is looking at capturing that. Each of these little icons has a little saying that goes with it to help us to remember it, and the one that goes with this one is make hay while the sun shines. So this is a reminder that not only do we need to catch and store energy, but we need to do that in a timely fashion, because it's possible that there is a window of opportunity for abundant energy to be captured and we could miss it. So this is an example of how these principles actually work together. To know when that best time is, we would need to be observing and interacting. Okay. There is a very helpful website called permacultureprinciples.com where you can find out more about all of this stuff. And the way they describe this principle there is it's about developing systems that collect resources at times of abundance so we can use them in times of need. Fairly straightforward when we think about something like renewable energy. That's all about catching and storing energy of wind, of sun, of water, of geothermals. Catching that, storing it, and we're obviously getting much better at doing that now, and then using it when we actually need it. If we apply this in gardening, again, it's fairly obvious. That might be around preserving our harvest. At this time of year, if anyone's growing courgettes, you may have an abundance of courgettes. You can't eat them all in one go, so we need to think about how we store them, how we catch and store that energy. It might be about seed saving, so those sorts of things. We also have nature, and we also have times of abundant energy. So on a daily basis, if we, again, observe and interact ourselves, we'll see that some of us have more energy in the mornings, some of us have more energy in the evenings. And so applying this principle in our own lives suggests to us that we do the things that require our energy when our energy is at its highest. Otherwise, we exhaust ourselves. Equally, we go through phases in our lives of having times when we're feeling well and energized. We have times when we are feeling perhaps unwell, and we need to draw on some stored resource. So when we're well and we're energized, then we need, again, to catch and store that energy to give ourselves a store of resource that we can draw on later on. We need, with energy, to keep it moving. If we think about water, moving water is oxygenated and it's life-giving. So think of a flowing river, think of waterfalls. Now think about a stagnant pond. Okay. When we don't keep the energy in water, when we don't keep moving energy through water and it stagnates, it actually becomes quite toxic and quite disease-laden. If we now apply that analogy to money and stuff, the same kind of thing happens. Money is really energy. It's an energy of exchange. And there's a very big difference between storing and hoarding. Storing is about collecting resource at a time of abundance until such time as we need it. Hoarding is kind of hanging on to stuff for the sake of it with no real intention to move that on. And then, so when we hoard, whether it's money or stuff or water, hoarding it, not giving energy, becomes stagnant and no longer life-giving. So I just kind of want to put that idea out there. It's quite an interesting one when we think about money in that way, and stuff, belongings, things too. One of the other ways that this has really impacted me, I think, is thinking about the large organisations that I've worked in and what happens to the caught and stored energy that sits in us, our skill and our experience and our wisdom. What happens when people are made redundant? What happens when people retire from organisations? What happens to that energy? How do we pass it on and keep it within our systems? Because what I've seen, what I've witnessed happening is that very often it's just lost in that process. All those really amazingly skilled and experienced people, that isn't passed on to anyone, and we lose it. We lose their wisdom, and so that's something that I might be thinking a bit more about over the next week, and I invite you to do the same. I'll come back to this next time. It's going to be a little graph which is about time against effort. I'll talk to you a bit more about that next time, so we don't overrun too much. Thanks very much for listening. Yeah, observe and interact your energy levels. Interact with your energy levels over the next week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.